The July 8th, 2020 meeting of the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is called to order. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is charged with conducting hearings to determine whether an alleged violation of the city code has occurred. Decisions made by this quasi-judicial board will be based on the evidence and facts presented tonight. Our meetings are conducted in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, and each case will begin with the city presenting its evidence of the alleged violation. The respondent will then present his or her case. Both parties will have an opportunity to cross-examine all witnesses. The board members may question any witnesses. Comments by both parties must be relevant to the case. Persons wishing to speak will be given an opportunity to do so by the chair and must address the board from the podium after giving their name and address. Upon request, copies of materials submitted by staff are available for review. Board members are reminded to obtain permission to speak from the chair, and questions of the city should be directed to the attorney for the city. At this time, I'll ask all persons who expect to give testimony tonight to stand and be sworn in by the city clerk.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you're about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Counsel, if you'd like to go through ex parte?
Yes, thank you. All right. If anybody has had any ex parte communications about any of the matters that will be heard this evening, if you would please disclose those. If you had oral or verbal communications, if you can say when and where those communications occurred, with whom they occurred, and what the sum and substance of those verbal communications were. If you have any written communications, if you could please describe the sum and substance of that communication and then provide it to the city clerk to go into the record.
Start this end. Any written or verbal communications on any cases tonight?
No, sir. No, I've had none.
I've had none?
Had none. I have none.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll start with the first case, case number 20-1143, City versus David Werlin.
Case number 20-1143, City versus David Werlin, for the property located at 514 Broxburn Avenue. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 828A1, permits application required, and Section 12861B4, fences, smooth side out. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Code Compliance Officer Jose Silva. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. Jose Silva, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively February 25th, 2020. This time I noted a wood privacy fence installed at the residence. Also noted the fence on the west side of the property was not installed with the finished side out. I notified community development and posted a stop work order at the residence. My inspection on March 17, 2020 revealed no change, so I completed a notice of violation with a compliance date of March 23rd, 2020. Posted notice at the home as well as City Hall, mail copies both certified and regular mail to the registered address. My inspection on May 20th, 2020 noted no permit was obtained and the side yard fence still installed incorrectly. I have 4 exhibits I'd like to submit at this time. The notice posted at the door. The fence with the smooth side not out, and a printout today still showing that no permit was obtained.
We'll accept those. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just review them and pass them down when you're done.
Excuse me, sir?
I was just directing them to review and pass them down. Anything further, Mr. Simmons?
I've also, during the course of the last few months, have been just talking with Mr. Werlin, referenced this issue, and I suggested to him options that he had to correct the problem. He advised me that fence on the west side the cost was split in half with that neighbor, so I asked him to get a notarized waiver saying that it's split in half and it was okay the way the fence was installed.
Did you get that?
No, sir. Yes, sir. And Amir Nisi, the director from building, is here.
Okay. Do we want to hear from Amir first, or do you have a question now?
Just a quick question. So the picture that you showed is from the neighbor's yard, is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions for Code Officer Silva? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Amir Anisi, building official. Per section of 12861 of Code of Ordinances, property owner is required to apply for permit for the fence, and per that section, he's required to have the finished site face out. So that's very clear in the Land Development Code and Code of Ordinances. Is required to obtain a permit and file an application under, as I mentioned, 12861.
Thank you. Any questions for Amir? Thank you, Amir. I guess the respondent is here.
Great, I was following. Sorry.
State your name and city of residence for the record, please.
And my city of residence?
Yeah, we used to require people to do their full address. We don't require that anymore.
Okay.
So it's just, if you
David
want to give us your
Joseph.
address, you're welcome to, but you have to at least give us your name and your city of residence.
Sure, yeah. It was just a surprising question. David Werlin, David Joseph Werlin, and 514 Broxburn Avenue in Temple Terrace.
The floor is yours, sir.
I'm sorry?
The floor is yours.
Oh, great. Okay, so, first of all, sorry, this is my first time doing something like this. I apologize. So I'm looking at, first I'd just like to address the ordinance, section 828, the A1, A, where it says, any owner, authorized agent, or contractor who desires to construct, enlarge, alter, repair, move, demolish, or change the occupancy of a building or structure, or to erect, install, enlarge, alter, repair, remove, convert, or replace any electrical, gas, mechanical, or plumbing system, the installation of which is regulated by the technical codes, or to cause any such work to be done, shall first make an application to the department and obtain the required permit for the work. And then the narrative here, under narrative, it says, despite being advised of the violation on February 25th, 2020, a permit was not obtained to install the privacy fence at the residence, contrary to the city's code ordinance. I would like to start by saying that I believe that the code, that the ordinance here that's cited is not relevant to my fence, just largely on the grounds that I haven't changed the occupancy of a building or structure. And that the whole second part of the paragraph is obviously irrelevant because I'm not doing anything mechanical, electrical, or plumbing. I don't know if you're supposed to have a response to that, or?
You'll make your case, and then if anybody has any questions,
Okay.
you will be able to answer those questions.
Okay,
Hopefully.
understood.
Hopefully you'll have an answer.
Okay, understood. Thank you. So that's the first part. Secondarily, I'd like to refer, and again, I don't know what kind of, I assume you guys have internet access, or I don't know what you guys are allowed here. I would like to refer you to your own website here, templeterrace.com, under permitting services, and then under the subsection where it says building permits. And then at the very end of those paragraphs there, it says exemptions that do not require a permit for work. And one of those items is the replacement of 3 or fewer panels of fencing. I was actually looking for it. I apologize again. I came straight from work. Anyway, but I actually have the full documentation of the ordinance, and it says that, actually, specific language says that it should be 3 panels, up to 3 panels at a time are allowed to be replaced without a permit. And I was wondering what the legal definition of at a time is. How often and through what frequency am I allowed to replace up to 3 panels or fewer without needing a permit? A day in between, an hour, 6 months, to that effect. On addressing the violation of, here, the violation 12-861B4 with the smooth side out, where you saw the photographs earlier. It is true that I did speak with my neighbor. It's actually a little bit more complicated than that. Of course it is. But the property is not, actually the person I was dealing with isn't the property owner. The property owner, an elderly lady, moved over into Pinellas County, and the daughter took charge of the property in order to sell it, and actually just sold last week. But she lives in Georgia, out of state, and was conducting repairs and upgrades and things like that from out of state. And I called her. I was on very good terms with her. I was taking the trash out to the street for her and whatnot and things like that. And I said, hey, I'm going to be replacing the fence here between us. Just so you understand, I'm just going to replace it exactly the way that it was. And in truth, there was a fence exactly the same style, exactly the same type installed when I bought the house 3.5 years ago, with the smooth side facing in. There are a lot of tree roots and craziness, as I'm sure everyone in this room probably knows in this city. And in order to have the fence posts and everything set up the right way, and actually also the more important part is my neighbor does have a chain link fence. I mean, probably, I think you saw in the photographs, I don't know if we can bring them back up, but there's a chain link fence probably 6 to 9 inches behind it, something like that. So any sort of survey or property survey that I would need or whatever, I know we didn't bring that up here, but the permitting part of it, I don't know how relevant that would be. I couldn't encroach on the property if I wanted to physically. And I literally just put the new fence where the old one was, and it had to be oriented in the way it was oriented. My neighbor agreed to it, and I actually have I wasn't able to get the document that Silva, that Mr. Silva referenced. He did tell me that. That's absolutely true. My neighbor she doesn't necessarily have a permanent address up there right now. She moves around for work or something. I'm not privy to the details. But I was like, hey, maybe if you just wrote me an email or something. So she wrote me an email. She also told me that it would be more than fine to give her a phone call during the hearing today. And I don't know if I need to submit this into something or if you're allowed to forward emails into evidence, but I'd be happy to do that. So again, she's not the owner technically, but her mother is. She was taking care of the property. She's no longer the mother is no longer the property owner, but she was at the time of the fence installation.
We can take that email into.
Sure. Can I hand it to you?
Hand it to council first.
Also, I was just unable to get here during operational hours because City Hall was closed, obviously, and then I work in the wine industry, actually, and we've been up like 350% in business, so I've been doing like 12-hour days, and then I come home to a 10-month-old, so I haven't had a ton of time on my hands. If that's what needs to happen to get this second part to go away, clearly you're open, clearly I'm here now, I can grab the form on my way out. I'd be happy to do that. As long as I can get a specific address from her to send it to.
Anything else?
That's about it, unless, I definitely have some more stuff that I could talk about if it's brought up, but that to me is the summation of my, my argument against it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I have
Oh,
a couple of questions.
Go ahead, Bill.
So, as far as the orientation of the fence, the way I understand you're explaining it is you really, because of the proximity of the chain link fence, you really didn't have room to get in there and put posts in a way that the fence would face towards their property.
Correct, yeah, that's
Correct.
definitely a large part of it. It's 50% of it. The other 50% was literally the way that, I mean, I have a giant oak tree right there. Again, as everyone here is probably familiar with, like, it was very spatially difficult to figure out. It would have been, I'm sure, but that's why I called my neighbor and said, hey, do you mind? I know I'm supposed to do it the other way. Do you mind? She said, no, I don't care at all. You know, obviously it didn't detract from the property's value with the house having sold last week. Like, but yeah, it's definitely the proximity to the chain link fence, and then like the root structure and the way that the posts were in there. Like it would have been all crooked and.
But the wooden fence is on your property.
Correct.
And the only way you could have probably complied was to move the fence closer into your property.
Correct.
to get on
Which
the right
again is, I
orientation.
mean, it is like, it's already inches from
Right.
a big oak tree and a palm tree as well. So,
Since you brought up the issue of number of panels per
Yes, sir.
day, how many panels did you replace and how long did it take?
I would say, you'd have to forgive me, I have to estimate here. I'd say,
More than 3.
including the front, yes, sir. Yeah, more than 3 is true. Yes, sir. Yeah, maybe 9,
Over the course of the week or so?
2.5 days, maybe.
Oh, okay, okay. That's all I have.
Anybody else? Thank you. You may have a seat.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'll be looking for a motion.
Can we
I'm
ask the
sorry.
city?
Just for the benefit of Mr. Worland, who had talked about, he didn't feel that the requirement for a permit applied to the fence. I just wanted to point out that under our definitions, under structure, and we had said that it would be needed for a structure. Structure is anything constructed or erected, installed or portable with a fixed location on the ground or attached to something having a fixed location on the ground, the use of which requires a location on a parcel of land. It includes, and amongst everything, is fences. So fences is most definitely a structure.
It absolutely does. That wasn't my gripe with the ordinance. Sorry if that was confusing.
No, I thought you said it didn't apply because.
I don't think it does apply, but it's not because the fence is not a structure.
All right, well, and it does say if it's been erected, so you did erect a fence or replace the fence, and that would apply for the need for a permit.
Correct, but my fence has no occupancy.
Okay, well,
Okay.
So, just-
just one, hold on.
I'm sorry, that's
Oh,
what I'm.
just a
sorry.
minute, please.
Excuse me, sir, I have to ask, so you did the fencing yourself, or did you hire someone to?
Part of it I did myself, and then another part of it I hired somebody, yes, sir.
Okay, is there anything from them that was it like an official business, like that was on here?
No,
or-
it was a friend of a friend who was helping me.
Okay.
Mr. Snelling, you
Yes,
had another
sir.
question?
Just returning, so in the city's opinion, the violation is valid, there's no reason to question the ordinance itself and the violation,
No,
right?
I mean, if we look
Okay.
at 8-28A1, which reads, any owner, authorized agent, or contractor who desires to construct, comma, enlarge, comma, alter, comma, repair, comma, move, comma, demolish, comma, or change the occupancy of. So in other words, the changing the occupancy doesn't stick with everything. It could be read, any owner who desires to construct a structure. I mean, the occupancy is only one possibility if you're gonna change the occupancy of a building. Otherwise, we have, it applied, he would need a fence because he erected a structure.
Understood.
Sorry to keep.
Go ahead,
asking questions.
go ahead.
Either for Officer Silver or Mr. Barone.
Okay.
Just a question about, as far as the location of the fence and how he's having difficulty placing the fence in a way that would allow the fence to face in the proper direction. Are there any other options for him? What would you recommend that he do in order to get the fence properly facing? I mean, it sounds like it's difficult for him, almost impossible for him to construct it the way that we have the city ordinance written.
Well, there are ways that they can install that fence, if need be. There's all different types of fences to install. I'm not sure exactly what kind of fence to install. There's board on board, there's many different types. So there are ways to install a fence when there's a structure or something right that butts up against it.
Oh, okay, so board on board would have been in compliance,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Just another question for Officer Silva. In the beginning of this case, it was mentioned that he was asked to get a notarized document from a neighbor saying that that the way the fence was okay. If he were to obtain that, how would that change anything?
That would, the reason we ask for that is in case somebody moves into the house and they're looking at the fence and say, that fence is not installed correctly, we have a document that says the owner of the residence let us install it that way.
Does that change the violation?
It would stop the violation.
It would?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He was still required for a permit.
Right, still have to have, understood.
Still a permit
But
with
the piece about the finished side facing one way or the other would go away if he were to obtain that document.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
I had a question, but it's exactly what was gone. I was thinking in terms of like a variance, whatever, once you got the permit, then you would address how it was facing, and then it would be approved on the permit, right? Because you'd address if you can fit it or not.
I
Is
think
that
what-
correct? In the permitting process would have allowed that to be addressed?
Once you obtain a permit at the time of inspection, we would look at the finished side outside. If he's not, again, having that side, then he has to get the signed letter from the neighbor, notarized, signed by next door neighbor, stating that she or he is okay to have or grant the variance to move forward with the finished side out.
You had raised your hand earlier. Was there something else
Yeah,
you
I
wanted to say
mean,
while you're up here?
he mentioned the section 828 as far as the permitting requirement. Mainly that section apply for building construction. Okay, in general, it may not, again, address specifically the fence requirement. But if you look under this section I cited, 12861, it state clearly on the first paragraph, it says that a survey showing the location of the easement and proposed fence or wall with respect to the existing structure and property line shall be submitted with the permit application. Okay? So anytime you construct fence, wall, hedges, you require to submit application and obtain a necessary permit for that. So,
Thank you. Yes, sir.
As we're talking about the new permits, is there any way that we could get the new neighbor, permission from the new neighbor to have the fence facing this way? One of my concerns is that it's just for longevity and consistency with how we have things written up that since the smooth side needs to be facing outward, I just don't want there to be any conflict with future neighbors as we go into this. Because again, the house has been sold now. So, sir, I realize that this is going on now, but is there any way that if we were to correct it, or if there was any way he was able to do to get another permit and actually redo it, if that was actually consideration? I guess that's the two halves.
well, again, he's subject to comply with the code, and the finished side has to be toward outside. Now he's making a case is the chain link fence tied against that fence he constructed doesn't allow him to put the finished side. There is not a room. So again, we give him an option, okay, in order again to remedy the situation. But to answer your question, every single applicant needs to comply, and the finished side has to be toward outside. You got PVC fence is finished on both sides. You got board on board is finished on both sides. But the type of a fence he constructed has only one finish out. So we just basically give him a variance or give him a room again to come to the compliance.
Go ahead.
Just to be clear.
Yes.
He is, and if he were to get permission from the new owner of the neighbor's, the new owner of the neighbor's house, if he got permission from them to install the fence the way it is now, that violation would
Just
go away or
and-
No,
not?
just the piece about the finished side. There's still be
The
the permit issue.
I understand.
The
but
finish side.
the finish-
We don't want to, again, do this because again, property owner change hand.
Right.
New owner comes, says, no, I don't want this. Okay, the prior, this does not get recorded with the property. This is just the mutual agreement between the two current owners. But again, if the property gets sold tomorrow, the new owner comes and says, I'm not, again.
He would be in violation.
Yeah, he will be in violation.
Okay.
So again, his best option would be construct a type of a fence has two finished sides, if that's the direction he's going, so.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I'll look for a motion.
All right.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay. In case, hopefully you can hear me, in case number 20-1143, I move that the city has proven by the greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace Code exist on the property located at 514 Broxburn Avenue, Code Sections 828A1 and 12-861B4. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from Court Enforcement Officer Jose Silva and David Werlin, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that said violations be corrected on or before, should have got this, let's see. Was it June? Yes. We're on, okay, August 12th. If the respondent does not comply with this order on or before that day, they are ordered to pay a fine for each and every day the violation continued past the date set for compliance. Upon considering the following factors, the gravity of the violation, any actions taken by the violator to correct the violation, and any previous violation committed by the violator, I move that the fine be $25 per day per violation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Any board discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Motion carries unanimously. Next case.
Case number 20-2150, City versus Rosalie Levine for the property located at 10044 North 52nd Street. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 828A1, permits application required. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Doug Allen. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and the notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. Doug Allen, Code Compliance Officer. This case was originated by Community Development for work at the time for work without permits, which were three separate work without permit cases opened. I generated a notice of violation on May 13th and posted the notice at the site, and the notice was also posted at City Hall, and copies were mailed, both certified and regular mail, to the address of the owner of record. My reinspection on June 24th, 2020 showed no change, so I prepared a notice of hearing on June 24th, and the case was scheduled for the July Municipal Code Board meeting. A general construction permit has been issued and paid for. However, there is still a plumbing and mechanical or AC permit yet to be applied and paid for. At this time, I'd like to submit photographic evidence of the site taken by myself on May 14th. Exhibit number 1 shows the posting of the notice of violation. Exhibit number 2 and 3 are screenshots of the stop work orders from Community Development for the plumbing and AC work.
Thank you. We'll accept it.
At this time, the site is not in compliance, and I'm seeking a finding.
Thank you. And you said this job has been shut down?
The work is completed. The 3 stop work orders that I was made aware of were from December of last year, but I do believe all the work has been completed.
Okay. But you haven't been able to inspect it because there's no permits?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions for Code Officer Doug Allen? Thank you. Is the respondent here?
Actually, my mother is Rosalie.
Okay.
Is it okay if I speak?
Sure.
on her behalf?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, my name's Daniel Levine, reside in Temple Terrace. So the house in question, 10044 North 52nd, was actually my mother's brother's house and my uncle, and he passed away. So once that happened, this was, what was it, like maybe a year and a half ago? He passed away about a year and a half ago. So my mom became the owner of the house, but nobody was living there. So our idea was to just do some small fixes in order to sell the property. Essentially, we did kitchen cabinet replacements. We replaced 5 windows in the home, and we switched out the air conditioner for a new one. We didn't realize we needed a permit at the time. And actually, my mother and I went to the office upstairs, the permitting department, and the secretary, we sat down with her. I can't remember her name, the woman on the left. Anyway, she said that my mother and I could pull the permit as a homeowner ourselves for the kitchen cabinets and the windows. So we thought it wouldn't be a really large deal. When we went to fill out the application for the building permit and turn it in, she looked up something on the computer and realized that the house was not homestead acted, I guess because we don't live there. So then it became a matter of attempting to find a general contractor to pull the permit on our behalf. So it was kind of a little bit of a scramble. Luckily, I was able to find someone. It did take a couple of months to find a general contractor. Her name is Victoria Hops Construction, Inc. And she actually did pull the building permit. She attempted to pull the mechanical, but as a general contractor, she needed her air conditioning people's license. So I've been in correspondence with Mr. Allen and been keeping him up to date on everything. So the building permit for the windows, the 5 window replacements, and the kitchen cabinets has been pulled, has been paid for. We got a stop work order, so the last thing that had to be done was the countertops. When we got the stop work order, we did not do anything else. So as of right now, just the countertops have to be laid on in the kitchen, and the permit has been pulled. The mechanical, my general contractor friend was able to contact Dunlap's Air Conditioning, who came out, looked at the air conditioning install, kind of just did a few things in order to bring it to code, and that permit was dropped off today, actually. I was trying to get in at the wire before the hearing, but that mechanical was done today. And then I was notified about a third permit regarding plumbing. I emailed somebody from the permitting department. His nickname is Haj. Let's see. And I just simply asked him, and I went over this with Mr. Allen as well, Fareed Masood. I sent him an email just asking him, in regards to the plumbing permit, we went to Home Depot and bought 2 toilets and sinks, and we were doing an even switch out, a removal and a replacement. And he stated through email, which I did not print out a copy, but I have his email, and I forwarded to Mr. Allen earlier today. He stated that if it's just an even switch out, that a permit is not required for plumbing. He said as long as no pipes were moved or anything of that sort, that an even switch out does not require a permit. So that was the third permit. So the 2 in question that we needed have been, one was filed today, the mechanical. One was already seen by Mr. Allen for the building, the kitchen cabinets and the windows. And then this third plumbing, I don't think is necessary, that we need to actually pull a permit based on Mr. Masood's email. And that's pretty much it.
You didn't happen to bring the mechanical permit with you tonight, did you?
No, we dropped it off in the bucket outside today.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, and I confirmed with the permitting office that it was received.
okay,
But I don't think it made it to Mr. Allen yet.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. Any questions for the respondent? Thank you. You may have a seat.
thank you.
At this point, I'd be looking for a motion.
Could we ask for a comment as far as the plumbing discrepancy?
Do you have a question for
Either
Officer
Tom-
Allen?
As I said, it needs to get answered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, but this case was a self-reporting. I want to thank you.
Sure.
The gentleman, he called in apparently back in December. He reported all, violation himself. So, again, we haven't had a chance to get to the property, to visit the property, to, again, confirming like a plumbing-ish, permit he brought up. So, beside the mechanical, beside the building, apparently some work has been done on the roof. Based on the self-reporting, we don't have a roof permit too, so we may need additional.
We didn't need a roof permit either, from what I was told. We didn't do anything to the roof. There's a little overhang above the front door, and there were some patches fixed, but it fell below
Okay, well, that's not,
yeah.
even if you needed a permit, that's not for tonight's discussion because it's
Right.
not part of the violation.
Okay, all right.
Okay?
Right.
With the three issues we're dealing with tonight is a building permit, which I understand you got,
Right.
the HVAC permit, which apparently
Application
you
has
got
been
today.
filed,
Apparently you
yes.
got today.
Yes.
And the plumbing permit, which you say you don't need.
Yes.
That's the three we're dealing with.
But again, for the plumbing, we haven't had a chance to visit the site and confirming, what he's
Understood.
saying, so just want to make sure. And the roof, again, was a self,
Is there an
Before.
opportunity for you to, before the next hearing, to be able to confirm whether or not he does need a plumbing permit?
absolutely, as
Okay.
long as we can coordinate and get access to the home.
Okay,
Well,
And
what I was told was that they weren't doing any in-home inspections due to COVID, so I
Right.
sent pictures, I emailed pictures for a
But-
photo inspection.
But this is unoccupied home, right? It's a vacant home?
Correct, but
Okay.
the secretary said that even though it's an unoccupied home, the city mandate said,
okay, well, you guys can work that out later.
okay.
Sure.
Okay.
That's just
Yeah.
my question,
Yeah.
can this be resolved in 30 days if we have a
Sure,
finding?
as long as we can coordinate, get to the property and confirming some of these violations, yes,
Yeah, I think we can probably work out that.
yes.
That would be great.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion. Thank you, Bill.
Okay, I'll do it.
Which one? I'll do the motion, I'm not sure.
It's, which
By
motion is it?
violation?
Yeah,
First time violation,
Okay, okay.
and it's the one where part of it's in compliance and part of it's not.
or
Complied in existing, okay. Is that this one?
Give it a shot.
Okay. Okay, here we go. In case number 20-2150, I move that the city has proven by greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code exist on the property located at 10044 North 52nd Street. And the applicable code violation is 8-28A1. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer and the representative for Rosalie Levine and Douglas B. Allen, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that there be no fine imposed for the violations of code sections on, again, violation 8-28A1, because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing. I further move that the...
Hold, stop right there. We have a situation tonight where one of the 3 supposed required permits has been brought into compliance before tonight's hearing. We understand that a second permit has been obtained for the HVAC. There is still the question of whether or not a plumbing permit is necessary, so he is still technically in violation.
If I may,
Sure.
that would be my recommendation, is that since it's all for permits, you may have one or two of them corrected, but one sounds like it still is outstanding. But if you're gonna give them enough time for the inspectors to get out there, no fine, if you do issue a fine, no fine would kick in until that compliance date. So, my recommendation would be that you find the violation, give enough time for our people to get out there, inspect, with every hope that it's in compliance and no fine will kick in at that time.
So handle it as if it is not in compliance, which it technically is not.
Okay.
Assign a fine, and hopefully by the time we have our next meeting, it all gets straightened out.
Okay.
So the fine wouldn't
So,
necessarily.
hang on. We're not to that part yet.
Okay, so I need to start all over with the motion to, for violation, existing violation is what I'll do, and I'll just read the whole section again. In case number 20-2150, I move that the city has proven by greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code exist on the property located at 10044 North 52nd Street. And again, the applicable code is 8-28A1. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer, Douglas Allen, and the representative for Rosalie Levine, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that said violations be corrected on or before, again, August 12th of 2020. If the respondent does not comply with this order on or before that day, they are ordered to pay a fine for each and every day of the violation continued past the date set for compliance. Upon considering the following factors, the gravity of the violation, any actions taken by the violator to correct the violation, and any previous violations committed by the violator, I move that the fine be in the amount of $25 per day.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any board discussion? Seeing none? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So with this, we are gonna give them, is August 12th considerable enough time in order for our people to get out there and do the inspection?
I think we had to, yeah, I think they said yes. They were nodding their head affirmatively before, so I think it's probably fine.
Okay, very well. Then I'm ready.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? No nays. Motion carries unanimously. Get with the code compliance officer, and we'll try to get something worked out so they can get out there and take a look at what they need to look at. And then hopefully,
Does the photo inspection of the photos that I sent for the building permit that was previously pulled, will that still apply? Or now that they're coming out, they can just inspect everything in person?
you'll have to work that out with them. That's,
Okay.
Case number
next case.
1265, City versus Evan Labite for the property located at 417 Druin Hills Road. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 12861E6 fences appearance. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Doug Allen. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman and board members. Doug Allen, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated by a citizen complaint on March 4th, 2020. My inspection on that date revealed a wooden fence not being properly maintained. It is a double-sided fence with missing boards and termite-damaged posts. I went directly to a notice of violation, as my previous attempts at contact the property owner had not resulted in a change to the site's condition. The notice of violation was prepared on March 4th, 2020, with a compliance date of March 16th. I posted the notice at the site as well as at City Hall, and copies were mailed, both certified and regular mail, to the address of the owner of record. My re-inspection on June 24th revealed that the site was not in compliance, so a notice of hearing was prepared on June 24th, and the case was scheduled for the July Municipal Code Board meeting. At this time, I'd like to submit photographic evidence of the violations taken by me on March 5th, 2020, and July 6th, 2020. Exhibit number 1 shows the notice of the violation posting. Exhibit number 2 and 3 shows the fence with missing boards and termite damage. And the site, at this point in time, the site is not in compliance, and I'm seeking a ruling.
If you will accept those. Any questions for Officer Allen? No questions? Thank you. Is the respondent here? Come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Evan Lavitt in Temple Terrace. I guess this kind of stems back to like when I first moved into the house. My neighbor next door to me was asking me if I would change my fence out to a vinyl fence, and I said I wasn't interested. I wanted to like maintain the same style of fence that I had throughout the my property. And you know, he was pretty upset about that, but he kept bugging me about it. And so I've never been on really good terms with him. About a year ago, he had a dead tree on his property, and it was dropping limbs over by the power line. So I called code enforcement to see if they could do something about the tree, and because I didn't want it to like hit the power line. Anyways, my neighbor saw the code enforcement agent, and he got upset, and he started calling code enforcement about my fence in retaliation for me calling about his tree. So when he had the tree work done to remove the dead tree, he came over and he started ripping down fence panels. And I questioned him about it. I'm like, what's going on? And he got like really upset with me. He started like screaming and yelling at me. He started ripping down like more fence panels, and he threw them at me. He threw them in my yard. So now my fence looked really terrible. So I removed the panels that were destroyed, that were kind of on his property. So I still have fence panels on one side that was mine. And then on the other side, I removed those panels. There were horizontal slats. I don't feel I could come to terms with him to make arrangements to have the fence replaced, like going on his property. Since I had to file a police report against him, and he's very hostile. He's usually intoxicated, or just like, I just can't even talk to him. So I'm not able to come to terms with him to make arrangements to go on his property, get it replaced. And I feel like he is, like, in a way, like, bullying me to change the fence out to a vinyl fence or whatever he wanted in the first place by him destroying my fence. I understand that, yeah, there are some parts that have termite damage, like in the posts, but for the most part, the fence was intact and maintained the same look throughout before he started like ripping any pieces off because he was upset with me. So anyways, so I got the notice in March. I would like to have my fence changed out or replaced or maintained, but I've called multiple fence companies and I haven't been able to get anybody to either respond that can do the same kind of fence I currently have, or they don't do that kind of work. I have like a list of like 5 different fence companies that my wife has called during the day, and I just haven't had anybody even get back to me. I don't know if it's because of like the coronavirus or maybe they're not insuring my fence, but I'm just kind of haven't had like a good opportunity to like either deal with my neighbor or have the money for a full fence replacement. I don't know. I just kind of don't know what exactly to do to appease my neighbor, as well as keep my fence and replace it with something that looks similar. It's like a double-sided board-on-board fence with redwood slats. I can't even find that material anymore. It's probably 40 years old. I don't know. So I'm kind of overwhelmed with that issue and having a hard time dealing with my neighbor. So that's why I haven't completely fixed it. There were a couple pieces that fell, that I was able to get to that like I put back up or replaced with another extra piece I might have had, but I don't have enough to like go and like replace all the ones that are on his property, and I can't even talk to him to get access to the property going outside of my fence to do it. So I'm just kind of, I don't know exactly what to do.
Thank you. Any questions for the respondent?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the entire fence is on your property, or you said some part of the fence is on his property, you were talking about the pieces that he took off?
Yeah, so it's like it's a double-sided fence. So, you know, like and it is the same style on all three sides of my property in my backyard. And the part that's on his side that we share between our property lines, those are the ones that he like started tearing down. He like just ripped them in half. So I had like all these like fence pieces that were like that. And that's when he originally called and complained, was when it was like that, in which, you know, I saw him ripping at it and breaking. When I talked to him about it, he went to the fence, grabbed a bunch of them, started pulling at it and started throwing them at me and throwing them in my yard and cursing at me. So, but those are the pieces that he broke. The ones that were on my side are still up. So I just went through and I was able to like remove the broken pieces. So I left the part that was on faces his side don't have pieces going across.
So the violations related to the missing pieces on his side, is that the?
Yeah, and there's some fence posts that are holding up the fence that are rotten, but I can't just go on his property, or like, I would need access to both sides of the property to work on it.
Yeah, I mean, to replace a fence, you gotta be on both sides of the property, obviously.
Yeah.
I guess my last question is, in a perfect world, what would you like to see happen to resolve this problem?
I mean, I would like to eventually replace the fence with something similar, but I feel like in order to do that, since the fence is on all three sides of my property and none of my neighbors have a fence up against it, I would have to make arrangements with all three of my neighbors to come up with, you know, an idea of what we would want to replace, and, you know, who's going to pay for it, or splitting the cost. Is it all on me? I don't know, but I know my other two neighbors and they're fine. Nobody said anything about the fence to me. Neither of them have complained. It's just this one neighbor who I feel like he was doing this initially because he was wanting me to put up a vinyl fence for him. I don't know what his goal was. He never like came to me with an idea like, you know, can we split a cost on a fence? It was, you know, do you want to change this out to a vinyl fence? I said, you can put up a vinyl fence against it, but I don't want to change it out to something different style on one side.
Any question?
It wasn't happy about that.
There was police involvement with this? Was this ever to, like, them throwing the fence at you? Was there any actions in place that would prevent you from going on that side or anything of that nature?
Yeah, so when I talked to him about it, when I went over his house, you know, he was on his front porch, and I just was asking like, hey, what's going on? Why is the fence all broken? And he started screaming at me. So that's when, yeah, he went over the fence. He like started breaking. He started throwing the fence panels like that he broke. He started like throwing them. He didn't hit me with them, but he threw them towards me, throwing them in my yard, and he was screaming, cursing at me. He was saying, like, you know, get off my property or I'll call the cops. And so I called a police officer, and they talked to him and, you know, tried to calm him down, but he was intoxicated, and he basically told them, he said that he was just going to keep calling code enforcement over and over and over until I replaced the fence. And the police officer at the time, he talked to me and he said, you know, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to press charges against him? Because there's nothing else we can really do about it other than file like a notice that we came to your house to respond to a call. And I said, well, I don't want to press charges on my neighbor, but, you know, I just didn't know what to do. So I don't have a copy of that like police report, but But like, that's, for me, that's kind of like a part of why I'm having a hard time, like, interacting with my neighbor, because we have like, he has a lot of hostility towards me, so.
At this point, are we looking for a motion?
Can I get some clarification for the purpose of the record?
Sure.
We talked about fences, or parts of the fence being on his property. Is the actual fence, when it's installed, is it all on your property, or is any of the fence as installed on his property?
It's on the property line. I believe it's on my side of the property line.
Okay.
But in order to change the pieces that were broken, I would have to go into his yard
Well, I get that.
and
I
get
just-
to that side of it.
All right, yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was clear that the fence is on, whether it was on your property
Yeah.
or on
So,
both, or.
It is on my property, but the missing pieces are on his side of the property, so, I mean, and I don't even understand completely, like, who's responsible for that side of the fence? I mean, if it's my fence, I believe it would be mine, but at the same time too, if somebody's damaging your fence on their side of the property, it seems like they should be the one to change those pieces, so I don't, that's my issue.
Just said a few things. You're not required to own a fence or have a fence
Mhm.
unless you have an in-ground pool.
Yeah.
So you could take down that section of fence.
Yeah,
Based on what you told us tonight, I probably would not remove that fence.
Mhm.
Because it's a divider from you and
Yeah.
this gentleman, okay? Two is, you're probably gonna have to hire a company
Mhm.
to come out and replace that fence. Because unless he gives you permission to go on his property, you're in a tough situation.
yeah,
You may call the police and have them come out and sit out there to make sure nothing happens. If you choose to install the fence yourself, have the officer come out there and make sure there's nothing, no confrontation happens.
Mhm.
Okay, so you don't have to have the fence though, but it is yours.
yeah.
You're required to maintain that.
I have considered just removing it so I wouldn't have the issue in the meantime, because honestly, I don't need that side of the fence, but I would like to have a barrier between him and me, because he has like a large dog, and he's very aggressive, and, and somebody I don't even want, I can't have a very hard time like dealing with him, so.
Okay. And as far as getting a fence company to come out,
Mhm.
I'm sure if you called down the code, they might have some suggestions on other fence companies you could call.
Yeah,
And a lot of it, I think, has to do with COVID. People they're half-staffed, and
yeah,
I have a similar issue over in St. Pete right now, trying to get somebody to put a fence up, so I feel your pain, but obviously it needs to get done, and we'll see what happens tonight. So if there's no other questions,
Yeah, one quick question.
Go ahead.
What's a reasonable time frame for you to get it fixed?
I mean, well, I called like 5 fence places, and the only one that's even called me back said they wanted to be able to come out until the 15th. So like, give
of
me a
August.
quote. So that's like, that's the first of like, I ended up searching fence companies that offered building the same type of fence that I had. Because I wasn't even sure, like, do I have to have the same style of fence? Because I saw in the code that like you have to, if you replace it, it has to be like a similar style. So it's kind of a unique fence. So I wasn't even sure if like I had to have the same style. So I looked up people that did that, and of the 5 that I called, only 1 even responded, and then the 15th was when they would say that they would even come to give me a quote. So
July 15th or August 15th?
that was July 15th, and we called them like March, May. It's just been a little crazy with like the COVID stuff, like calling places or trying to like get this kind of stuff done. So I understand like this goes on before then too, but when this initially happened the first time, like I tried to just like spruce up the fence to clean it up. But this recent notice from March is when I started calling fence companies, and I had like money set aside to do it, because I have a lot of fence to replace if I replace the whole thing, and it's pretty costly, so.
Okay, thank you. You can have a
Suggestion
seat.
would be, if you remove the fence right
Mhm.
now, the violation goes away.
Okay,
So that'll give you enough time to hire another company, another month or 2 months, 3 months.
okay,
It's all up to you.
Okay.
But if you remove that fence, you're good to go, and the violation's in compliance.
all right, I might just do that, because like I have an area for my dog and my kids that is away from them, so.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for letting me know that.
You can have a seat. No further questions, I'll look for a motion. you.
Excuse me, in case number 20-1265, I move that the city has proven by the greater weight of evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code exist on the property located at 417 Druid Hills Road. Violation section 12-861, subsection E, subsection 6. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer Doug Allen and Evan Labette, along with any other evidence including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the recording of the record of this hearing. I further move that said violations be corrected on or before August 12th. If the respondent does not comply with this order on or before that day, they are ordered to pay a fine for each and every day the violation continues past the date set for compliance. Upon considering the following factors, the gravity of the violation, any actions taken by the violator to correct the violation, and any previous violations committed by the violator, I move that the fine be $25 per day.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Motion is second. Any further board discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Motion carries unanimously. So you can get with the code enforcement officer and he'll explain what just happened and what your options are. Okay, thank you. Next case, please.
Case number 20-2410, City versus Janice L. Murphy for the property located at 9239 Overlook Drive. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of section 12921, parking residential property. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Doug Allen. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman and board members. Doug Allen, Code Compliance Officer. This case was originated by me on May 29th, 2020. My inspection on that date revealed a vehicle parked in the yard. Due to cases being opened at this site on March 7th, April 3rd, April 14th, April 29th, May 15th of this year, a notice of violation was generated on May 29th. I posted the notice on this site, and a notice was also posted at City Hall, and copies were mailed, both certified and regular mail, to the address of the owner of record. My re-inspection on June 24th showed a vehicle parked in the yard, and since it was within the 45-day time period of the notice of violation being generated, I prepared a notice of hearing on June 24th, and this case was scheduled for the July Municipal Code Board meeting. This time I'd like to submit photographic evidence of the site taken by myself on May 29th and June 24th, 2020. Exhibit number 1 shows the posting of the notice of violation. Exhibit number 2 shows a vehicle parked in the yard. Exhibit number 3 shows a vehicle parked in the yard.
We'll accept those. Thank you.
At this time, the site is in compliance, and I'm seeking a finding, and I'll have an affidavit of compliance to submit.
Any questions for Officer Allen? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion.
I think there was no respondent here.
Is the respondent here? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought he was here for a lien reduction. I'm sorry. Name and address for the record, please.
Paul Harper, 9239 Overlook Drive, Temple Terrace.
You can take that mask off to speak to us because we're having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, so Paul Harper, 9239 Overlook Drive, Temple Terrace. All right, so we've been staying at this house for like 5 years. There's 4 people that stay in the house because it's a 4-apartment, a 4-bedroom house. And we park in our grass. I mean, the houses next door park in their grass, we park in our grass. We just get bothered by it. Recently, we've been staying here 5 years, but I guess like the past, well, he said since May, we've been getting bothered by parking in our own grass. I got pictures of the people next door. They don't even have a driveway and they park in their grass. I don't see what's the difference from our
Hand it to a council.
I don't see any difference from our grass and theirs. Just doesn't make sense to me, to be honest, but that's it.
Are you renting the property or you own it?
We own the house.
You own it, are you saying?
Yes, my mom, she owns it. She's overseas right now, so I'm here. But we own the house, we park in our grass. I mean, the people next door park in their grass. We stay here 5 years, but now they say something about it. Makes no sense.
Mr. Chairman, they have an option where they could extend their driveway and put gravel in. So there's enough area there that they could water and put gravel pavers, expand their driveway. They have the option of doing that.
Okay.
And also the property next door, they don't have an existing driveway, so they were grandfathered in as far as they just have dirt.
Right.
As far as, so, but if you have a driveway, you have to utilize your driveway.
Understood.
Yeah, that's why I asked if they were the owners, because they
Yeah.
could obviously invest money.
Makes no sense.
So,
Wait, so,
so right now, the violation's been cleared before tonight's meeting, so we're just gonna we're gonna have a finding tonight, but there won't be any fine, since you cleared the violation. If you're found in violation again, it becomes a repeat violation, and the fines go up because it's a repeat violation. My suggestion to you would be to get with the code officer after this meeting, tomorrow morning, whatever, to find out what your options are to be able to park multiple cars in that area so that you're not, quote, parking on the grass. And there is a fix apparently, but he'll be able to explain the options to you.
yeah, so you said the gravel, we have,
You can speak to the code enforcement officer about that afterwards,
okay.
okay? Now's unfortunately not the time, okay? So right now, I'll be looking for, if nobody else has any questions, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll give a motion. Okay, I'm gonna use this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, in case number, I'm sorry, in case number 20-2410, I move that the city has proven by a greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code did exist on the property located at 9239 Overlook Drive, and the applicable code sections are 12-921. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer, Douglas B. Allen, and the witness, Janice L. Murphy, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that there be no fine imposed because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing.
Just a point of order. Sir, could you have him come back in real quick? Just a point of order. During your motion, you said that the testimony of Janice L. Murphy, I think she's the property owner. What was your name again, sir?
Paul Harper.
Paul Harper. Okay, so just amend your motion to include his testimony, not Janice L. Murphy, because she's the property owner and she's not here tonight.
What's your last name?
Harper, Harper.
Harper, okay, I'm in my motion.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
So the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer, Douglas Allen, and
Paul Harper?
Paul Harper, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any further discussion?
Quick question for the clerk. Did we have service on, was the notice properly served on Ms. Murphy?
Yes, we got a green return card back on the notice of hearing, so we were properly
Thank
served.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Motion carries unanimously. Next case, please. So we'll be moving on to lien reductions. I know we had two people here, and do you know your case numbers? You're the second one listed? And which case?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Which case, are you after the second one or before the second one? You're the first one? Okay, so we'll hear your case first, since you were listed as first, and then we'll get to yours, okay? So we'll be looking at case number 1 under lien reductions.
Case number 183885, the City versus Diplomat Property Manager LLC for the property located at 107 South Greenfield Avenue. The lien amount is $13,350.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Code Board members, Tom Baroni, Code Compliance Director. At this time, I would like to introduce this lien reduction petition request in case number 18-3885, City versus Resi Cap, property located at 107 South Greenfield Avenue with a lien amount of $13,350. This case originated back in September of 2018 for stained privacy fence, roof debris, cluttered roof gutter, and a tree that was a nuisance. These violations were presented to the MCEB hearing on November 14, 2018 by Inspector Silva and was brought into compliance on March of 2020. With 17 inspections by code staff, which totals $615, and a city clerk's cost of $130 totaling $745. Inspector Silva and I spent many hours trying to contact the owner to bring this accruing fine of a stained fence into compliance. This was the last violation that lingered for a long period of time. Based on the code violations and the petitioner's request, my recommendation to the board tonight is to reduce the lien from $13,350 to $1,400. I'll stand by for any questioning.
Any questions for Officer Baroni? Seeing none, I see the petitioner is here. Would you like to speak to the board?
No, I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay, thank you.
Chair,
Seeing,
if I may, maybe, I don't know if the new members are kind of aware of what the process is, so they're not caught by surprise that it's a recommendation to City Council, if you wanted to
yeah,
explain.
okay, yes, I didn't go over that at the beginning. So the way lien reductions work is, as you see, the city will present its case, the petitioner has an opportunity to present their case. You will be making a recommendation to accept what was suggested by Officer Baroni as the lien reduction. That recommendation will go to City Council, probably not the next City Council meeting, but maybe the one after that. And that recommendation will be considered by City Council. They may and may not take our recommendation. Many times they do, but they're not bound to take our recommendation. They will consider it and make up their own minds. So what the motion that you'll be making tonight is whether or not to bring a recommendation for the suggested lien amount, which is $1,400, reduced from $13,350 down to $1,400. And the motion should contain that if the lien reduction amount is not paid within 30 days, that the lien reverts back to the original amount, which in this case is $13,350. Any questions on that? Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
All right, I'll give it a shot here. In case number 18-3885, for the property located at 107 South Greenfield Avenue, upon hearing the facts and argument from the city and the property owner, I hereby move the board recommend to the city council that the lien be reduced from $13,350 to $1,400, contingent upon the lien being paid within 30 days of the council's decision, or it would revert to the original amount of $13,350, and the city is authorized to enforce the fine in accordance with the law.
Can we have a motion? Do we have a second? Do we have a second? All in favor? I'm sorry, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, motion carries unanimously. So what that means for you is a recommendation will be going to City Council whenever they hear it. Maybe the next council meeting, probably not, probably be the one after that. Unfortunately, it'd probably be a good idea if you showed up at that meeting. And then you'll see whether or not they accept the recommendation of this board for the lien reduction, okay?
And will I get notice of that meeting?
Yes. Okay, next case, please.
The next case number 19-0054, City versus Safe Haven Property Investors, for the property located at 314 Springdale Place, and the lien amount is $5,150.
Good evening, Tom Baroni, Code Compliance Director. At this time, I would like to introduce this lien reduction petition request in case number 19-0054, 2021-0054, City versus Safe Haven Property Investors. Property located at 314 Springdale Place with a lien amount of $5,150. This case originated back on January 3rd, 2019, for stained exterior walls and stained fascia boards. These violations were presented to the MCEB hearing on April 10th, 2019 by Inspector Silver and was brought into compliance on August 20th, 2019. With 14 inspections by code staff, which totals $515, and the city clerk's cost of $130, that totals $645. Since these violations were not a health and safety issue, my recommendation to the board this evening is to reduce the lien from $5,150 to city cost of $645. I'll stand by for any question.
Any questions for Officer Barone? Seeing none, you may have a seat, Mr. Officer Barone.
Yes?
Okay, I'll be looking for a motion.
Wait, we have a.
Oh, is the response, I'm sorry, once again, I forgot you were here, sorry. Come on up and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Willie Dent. I'm part owner in the property with my husband. For the record, I would just like to state that we did not get notice of the hearing, and I think it's because there was a lapse in whoever was taking care of the file. So when the hearing in April 2019 regarding the violation, we never got notice of that because we don't live in that property. And the citation is for a rental property. There's not been a person renting in a long time. And I think if we would have had a tenant, we would have known about it. We would also like to state for the record, we've always maintained the property. And as soon as we got notice of this violation, we cleared it within 48 hours when we got a certified letter. And the confusion, if I'm not confusing the board, is we live at 12449 Kelso Road, Tenoda, Sassa, Florida. And we've always gotten everything like anything to do with the maintenance of the property, the city, anything. When we did rent it, all our information go to Tenoda, Sassa, telling us if we need a inspection for fire, we've had to do that they come into the property. So when this hearing that came forth from Mr. Silva saying we were not in compliance, two things had happened. We thought we had cleaned the property by going there and spraying it with bleach, but we did not go the second step, which is to let him know, please come look at it and give us a release or a notice of compliance. That is a failure on our part, and it told us two things, and that is what we did wasn't sufficient. So to actually bring it into compliance, we had to hire a company that came out and, washed the entire house down and treated it so it wouldn't return. But I guess what I'm asking the board to consider and Mr. Barone is not to fine us more than what would be 4 to 5 days. Because anytime the board reaches a determination, they do give a grace period for the person to come into compliance. So based on our actions and what we did, when we actually learned and we received certified notice of the violation, we received a certified notice that the board met on April 10th and found us in violation. But if you look in the records, we didn't get that certified mail until September 12th, 2019. April, May, June, July, August, September. 5 months later. Now, what happened in that time? There's no mail that goes to that property. The post office doesn't deliver. It's in the box. It's on the box. They don't even deliver anything there. Some kind of way, I guess whoever is accustomed to handling the file, maybe that they weren't there. And if the file has any kind of records in it, it probably would show that there was an attempt to give us notice of a hearing, but maybe it came back as non-deliverable. But our communications have always been between us and Tenoda Sassa. And when we got when we finally got notice, that is how we got it. It came to Tenoda Sassa. So if we have no choice, we accept 645, which is a great reduction. But we really think it should not be more than 4 to 5 days of violation. Because when we did find out, we cured within 48 hours of actually getting that notice, the one that told us this 5,000 or whatever. So that would be my request, and if not, then we accept the 645. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I will just say the record does show that the notice of violation did go to William Dent, 12449 Kelso Road, Thornton, Sassa. That was sent on January 25th, 2019. Also, the order that showed that the board met and what their finding was and what the deadline was, according to the record, also sent on it was sent to the 12449 Kelso Road, Thornton, Sassa. I do have it as what looks to be an August 14th, 2019 date. So I do believe, if from what I can see of the record here, the notice was sent to the proper address and not to the Safe Haven property address.
It was sent to that address, but look at the lapse in time. The hearing was April, but we didn't get notices until, like you said, August and September. So we didn't ever get a notice to show up to a hearing.
But the original notice in January was sent to Tenoda Sassa also, right?
Yes, the one in January, yes.
So the hearing was April, but we never got a notice certified to us.
Understood, we got
Okay,
that, thank you.
So should they have received a notice to appear in addition to the other two pieces of mail that they did receive?
I believe so, and I would, if the clerk may have that information. I just only have the notice of violation here and the notice that says that the fine has begun to accrue.
The letter for the hearing would have been the notice of hearing. And on the,
I'm just gonna add a few things here.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am, for coming in tonight. And the property appraiser states Springdale Place here in Temple Terrace, and that's what we go by. The reason why she received it was on a notice of violation, when it's an LLC, we carbon copy the registered agent down here, and that goes to Thornton, Florida. So that's how she received the notice of violation. As far as the notice of hearing, it might have went to Temple Terrace here, Springdale at Temple Terrace, but that's her responsibility as a homeowner to change the location of the property appraisal.
Understood.
So the property appraisal, like I said, is showing Temple Terrace, Springdale. Okay, so that's where the letters was being sent to.
But the original notice of violation went to Tenoda Sassa anyway, so.
Right,
Yeah.
but she's saying she never heard from the notice of hearing.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because it was sent to Temple Terrace.
Yeah, understood.
Okay?
And what I would say to that is, we got the notice of violation at the address we lived at in Tenoda Sassa, but we did not get the notice of hearing. The problem is, again, I stated to you earlier, we thought we had complied by going out there and spraying this down, but that didn't work. We clearly did not do a sufficient job. So if the notice of violation came to our house, the notice of hearing of non-compliance should have come to our house. So that's why I'm saying what would be fair, if fairness is put before the board, if we are going to be violated, and I know there are administrative costs and all of that, I think what would be fair would be to give us a violation that would represent our actions. And that is, as soon as we discovered, we cured. And if we had known about the hearing, since the violation came to us at our home and we never got a notice that we hadn't, that's what made this fine go up. We didn't think there was anything wrong. We didn't think anything was going on out of the norm, and no one lives there. That's how, I mean, as soon as we saw $5,500 fine, I mean, I got here, I broke some laws getting here to find out what was going on.
All right, thank you.
So
Thank you.
that would be my position.
Thank you, we got it, thank you.
Thank
Just
you.
one other thing, Jose Silva spoke to the owner on February 4th and gave him an extension until February 13th.
To clear the violation,
So I
okay.
noticed the violation went out
January,
24th.
okay. Appreciate it, thank you. Any other questions by the board? Okay, we're looking for a motion.
I'll motion. Okay. In case number 19-0054 for the property located at 314 Springdale Place, upon hearing the facts and argument from the city and the property owner, I hereby move the board recommend to the city council that the lien be reduced from $5,150 to $645, contingent upon the lien being paid within 30 days of the council's decision, or it would revert to the original amount of $5,150, and the city is authorized to enforce the fine in accordance with the law.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, any further discussion?
Would that be enough time for her to pay that fine? Can we just ask?
30 days after the council is usually
Okay.
should be enough time to pay
It
the
is
fine.
enough time.
Okay, very well.
Thank you.
No more further questions.
Seeing no further questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, motion carries unanimously.
I'm not sure I understand.
So what happens now is, this board has just made a recommendation to city council to reduce the lien amount from $5,150 to $645. When this is heard by council, which may be the next meeting, might be the meeting after that, they will either accept or reject our recommendation. If they accept our recommendation, you will have 30 days from the night of that meeting to pay the fine. It's not 30 days from tonight, it's 30 days from the day of that council meeting to pay the fine. And if that fine isn't paid within 30 days, it will revert back to the $5,150. So again, it's not 30 days from tonight, it's 30 days from when it's heard by council.
I would just request on the record that we are notified at 12449 Telso Road to notice Florida of the hearing so that we.
Yeah. And just so tell her she does have the right to appear at the city council meeting. And
Yes.
plead her
Yeah,
case.
you
Plead
can-
your case
yes.
at city council.
I don't want to plead my case, I just
Or-
don't want to miss something again.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
asking that.
Thank you.
I be notified of that council meeting because I would be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna move back now to new cases. And I guess the first one would be 0190, is that correct?
Yes. Case number 20-0190, City versus Amar and Ria El Jabali for the property located at 7460 Terrace River Drive. Case is before the board based on alleged violation of section 12860 and operative vehicles, outdoor storage equipment. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Jose Silva. The city is evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Jose Silva, Co-Compliance. This case originated January 10th, 2020. During my inspection, I noted two inoperative vehicles parked in the driveway of the residence. One vehicle had no tag, and the second vehicle was a Mercedes with an expired dealer tag. This time I left door hangers with a compliance date of January 13th, 2020. Since my inspection on January 15th, 2020 revealed no change, a notice of violation was completed with a compliance date of January 25th, 2020. No one was home, so I posted notice at the front door as well as City Hall Also mail copies, both certified and regular mail, to the address of the registered owner. During my inspection on January 27, 2020, I noted both vehicles gone from the driveway of the residence, so at this time I closed the case. On February 13, 2020, I noted the Mercedes with the expired tag again parked in the driveway of the residence. At this time, I reopened the case. On June 17th, I noted the Mercedes was, on June 17, 2020, the vehicle was still parked at the residence. And on June 29, 2020, 2 more vehicles were parked at the residence with no tags. At this time, I'd like to submit 6 photographic evidence of the vehicles parked at the residence. First, exhibit number 1 is the notice posted at the front door. 2 and 3 taken on February 13th of the Mercedes with the expired dealer tag in the driveway. 4 and 5 taken June 17th, the same Mercedes still in the driveway. And exhibit 6 taken June 29th, show 2 in-ops in the driveway with no tags.
We'll accept those, thank you. Any questions for Officer Silva? Thank you, sir. If there's no other questions, I'm looking for a motion.
Was it in compliance or?
It's out of compliance. It's,
Excuse me,
Yeah, I would.
property's still out of
yeah,
compliance.
yeah, that's what I thought, yeah. Thank you.
I can do the motion. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In case number 20-0190, I move that the city has proven by a greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code exist on the property located at 7460 Terrace River Drive. And the applicable code section is 12-860. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer, Jose Silva, and no others, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that said violations be corrected on or before August 12th, 2020. If the respondent does not comply with this order on or before that day, they are ordered to pay a fine for each and every day of the violation. The violations continue past the date set for compliance. Upon considering the following factors, the gravity of the violation, any actions taken by the violator to correct the violation, and any previous violations committed by the violator, I move that the fine to be the amount of $25 per day.
Well, again, I think you had to, you said it earlier before you said $25, you have to consider the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the owner, and previous violations of the owner. I would think, you know, we had a couple other cases tonight that were $25 where they self-reported. I think you might want to reconsider.
Okay. Do we have, like, in this meeting, do we have like a table of fines that are
No,
appropriate?
no, it's just like we said, the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the owner, and any previous violations. Each case stands alone. Each case is different. However, there are, you know, I guess boundaries we try to fall within. If you know, we saw earlier tonight, we had 2 cases where they kind of self-reported. They made some attempts to fix it, and we charged them $25 per day.
Okay.
This appears to me to be a little more egregious. There was prior notice of the violation. It went away for a while. It came back, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not going to tell you what it should be, but I would just suggest that perhaps you might want to reconsider the fine.
Yeah, I do, and I'll amend that part of my statement. I move that the fine to be $50 per day.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Motion carries. Next case.
Case number 20258, City versus Versa Integrity Group, Inc., for the property located at 8801 Maysland Drive. Case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 1459, local business tax required. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Jose Silva. City has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening again. Jose Silva, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated January 10, 2020, when Code Department received a delinquent list from the utility billing for local business tax. On January 14, 2020, I left a door hanger at the business with a compliance date of January 27, 2020. On January 27th, there was no change, so I completed a notice of violation with a compliance date of February 6, 2020. I responded to the business and served the manager, Keith Eagleson, conducted service on him. An inspection through the Master Business Inquiry Program on June 17, 2020 noted that the local business tax was still delinquent. This time I'd like to submit the printout showing from June that the local business tax is delinquent.
We'll accept that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Officer Silva?
Also, as of to this date, the property is in compliant per Sarah Sims. They have paid for their local business tax, and I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance, and I'm asking for a finding only.
Thank you. Thank you. If there's no questions for Officer Silva, I'll entertain a motion.
All right, I'll do this one. In case number 20-0258, I move that the city has proven by the greater weight of evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code did exist on the property located at 8801 Maslin Drive. The code violation for section 14-59. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from Code Enforcement Officer Jose Silva, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that there be no fine imposed because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Brandon Smith, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Motion carries unanimously. Next case, please.
Case number 201187, City versus Catherine E. Henderson, for the property located at 11006 Ridgedale Drive. Case is before the board based on an alleged violation of Section 8102-13B, exterior walls maintained in good repair, and Section 8102-13C, roofs maintained in good repair. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Lori Smith. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. Lori Smith, Code Compliance. This case originated proactively February the 28th, 2020. My inspection revealed exterior wall staining and peeling paint on the front and right side of the structure, also fascia stains. At that time, I left a door hanger with a compliance date of March 23rd, 2020. My inspection on the 25th of May, 2020 revealed no change. Therefore, a notice of violation was prepared with the compliance date of June the 11th, 2020. No one was at home, so I posted the notice at the front door. I requested copies be mailed both certified and regular mail to the address of record. I also requested a copy be posted at City Hall for the 10-day requirement. My inspection on June the 19th revealed no change. At this time, I would like to submit photographic evidence that was taken by me on the 22nd of June, 2020, showing the violations. Exhibit 1 shows the notice letter being posted at the front door. Exhibit 2 is the front wall stains and peeling paint. Exhibit 3, right side wall stain. Exhibit 4, fascia staining. Exhibit 5, fascia stains and peeling paint.
We'll accept those, thank you. Yeah. Anything further?
Mr. Chairman, as of today's date, the front wall stains and the peeling paint, also the fascia staining has been removed and they have been brought into compliance. However, the right side wall stain still remains out of compliance. Mr. Chairman, I am seeking a ruling.
Thank you.
Have you had any discussion with the homeowner as far as their plans to?
No, sir, I have
Complete
not.
the-
I have left notices at the residence twice, and also again yesterday, sir, to try to bring the wall staining on the right side into compliance. Just using some bleach, maybe some 30-second cleaner from Ace. Wouldn't take too much more to complete it, but the individual, they did some work on the house to correct the other violations, sir, but never was contacted by the homeowner.
Is the home occupied?
Yes, sir, it is.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, what's still out of compliance?
The right side wall staining, sir, is out of compliance. That's the only thing.
This one.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion. Come on, Bill.
All right, I'll give it a shot. I don't think I've done one of these complied in existing violations before, so this should be fun.
Give it a shot.
If I may, this is again, I think, the same code section.
Well, there were, there were two,
Yes. Well, there was roofs and exterior walls.
yeah, I think the roof one was fully compliant.
I got 8-102, 13B, and 13C. I
Yeah,
apologize.
okay.
Yeah, so C is in compliance, right? B is still out of compliance?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, in case number 20-1187, I move that the city has proven by a greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code exist on the property located at 11006 Ridgedale Drive. Code section, well, we can cover that, I guess. Yeah, code section 8-10213B and 8-10213C. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from Code Enforcement Officer Lori Smith, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that there be no fine imposed for the violations of Code Section 8-10213C, because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing. I further move that the remaining violations be corrected on or before August 12th, 2020. If the respondent does not comply with this order on or before that day, they are ordered to pay a fine for each and every day the violation continues past the date set for compliance. Upon considering the following factors, the gravity of the violation, any actions taken by the violator to correct the violation, and any previous violations committed by the violator, I move that the fine be $25 per day.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, motion carries. Next case, please.
Case number 201310, City versus Ahmad Abu Kahil for the property located at 11901 North 53rd Street. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 12860 inoperative vehicles, outdoor storage equipment, and Section 12921 parking residential property. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Lori Smith. City has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing are properly served.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, board members. Lori Smith, Code Compliance. This case originated proactively March the 5th, 2020. My inspection revealed an inoperative vehicle with an expired registration parked on a substandard material in the front yard. At that time, I left a door hanger with a compliance date of the 10th of March, 2020. My inspection on March the 10th, 2020 revealed no change. Therefore, a notice of violation was prepared with the compliance date of the 20th of March, 2020. No one was at home, so I posted the notice at the front door, and I requested copies be mailed certified and first class. I also requested a copy be posted at the City Hall for a 10-day requirement. My inspection on the 19th of June 2020 revealed no change to the original inoperative vehicle. However, a second inoperative vehicle with no tag was now present on the driveway. At this time, I would like to submit photographic evidence of the violations that were taken by me June the 24th, 2020. Exhibit 1 shows a notice letter posted at the front door. Exhibit 2 shows the inoperative vehicle with expired registration. Exhibit 3 shows the inoperative vehicle with no tag. Exhibit 4 shows the vehicle parking on a substandard material. Exhibit 5 shows the vehicle parking again on a substandard material.
We'll accept those, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything further to add?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as of today's date, the site is now in compliance, and at this time, I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance, sir, and I'm just looking for a finding.
Thank you, we'll accept that. If there's no further questions, I'll look for a motion.
I give a motion, in case number 20-1310, I move that the city has proven beyond a greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code did exist on the property located at 11901 North 53rd Street. And the applicable code sections are 12-860. The motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has
Oh,
received.
you missed one. It's 12-860 and 12-921.
Oh, sorry. Okay, and applicable code 12-921 in addition to 12-860. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer, Lori Smith, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that there be no fine imposed because violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, motion carries unanimously. I believe that finishes up our new cases and our lien reductions. So we'll be moving now on to unfinished business.
Case number 195722, City versus Mary Hirschfield for the property located at 714 East River Drive. An affidavit of compliance was submitted by Officer Silva for Section 1034 and 810213B dated March 24th, 2020. So that property is in compliance. Case number 196805, City versus William E. Curtis Jr. and Ariana E. Buravitas for the property located at 109 South Glen Arvin Avenue. Deadline for compliance was extended by council to June 9th, 2020. An affidavit of noncompliance was submitted by Officer Silva for Section 8592 dated June 10th, 2020. So that property is out of compliance.
It continues to be out of compliance. Is that what you said? It's out or in?
It's out of compliance.
Yeah, I can't understand you with a mask on.
Yes.
Thank you.
Case number 20161, City versus Temple Terrace Associates LLC for the property located at 110 Bullard Parkway. An affidavit of compliance was submitted by Director Baroni for Section 12986 dated April 6, 2020. And case number 2235, City versus 2018 4-4 IH Borrower LP for the property located at 8748 Morrison Oaks Court. The deadline for compliance was extended by council to June 9th, 2020. An affidavit of noncompliance was submitted by Officer Allen for Section 12861E6 dated June 10th, 2020. So this property is out of compliance.
Okay, that finishes unfinished business. Next would have the lien list review.
Yes, liens list review. I have received affidavits of continuing noncompliance for the following properties. Case number 080292, City versus Christopher B. York, 7604 Leon Avenue. Case number 152510, City versus Coy Lee Berry Jr., 10014 North 52nd Street. Case number 160491, City versus Richard D. Warren and Deborah L. Warren, 108 Mission Hills Avenue. Case number 162397, City versus Dudley A. Black, 9408 Hidden Ridge Place. Case number 172613, City versus Dudley A. Black, 9408 Hidden Ridge Place. Case number 172746, City versus James Stevens Johnson and Glenda Johnson, 104 Holland Avenue. Case number 172786, City versus Anthony D. and Marcina L. Bobo, 7501 Okeechobee Court. And last, case number 194940, City versus Robert and Lisa M. McNeil, 9406 Hidden Ridge Place. So they are all still out of compliance.
Very good. Okay, that moves us into new business. I have 3 items. First, we have new members, so welcome. Thank you for your volunteerism. That's what makes the city of Temple Terrace a great city to live in and work in. Secondly, you guys probably don't know this, but we have a new liaison. Andy Ross, Councilman Andy Ross, who's now acting Mayor Andy Ross, used to be our liaison, and now Councilman Donahue has taken over that role as our liaison. Welcome. Thirdly, a question for you, Tom. Last time we met was in March of 2020. I know you guys have been busy, and you presented 7 cases tonight. Are you kind of, for lack of a better word, are you holding back cases bringing to us? Is there a need for us to have 2 meetings next month, or what's your current backlog, I guess?
Mr. Chairman, I do appreciate that and recognizing we needed this hearing tonight. I mean, each inspector presented 3 cases each. I didn't want anything more than that. So they probably have maybe 2 each that could be presented next month in
Okay.
August. Hopefully, we will have that meeting. It seems like on a daily basis, things are changing with this coronavirus, so, but we are, this, like I said, this meeting needed to be heard, and I appreciate everybody coming tonight, but we're doing okay. I mean, honestly, there's some dates on some of the notice of violations were January, maybe March, February, March, somewhere in there, but, so we are good. I
Okay.
mean, honestly, so,
Do you feel no need to have an interim meeting?
no.
Okay.
No.
Very good, thank you. Anybody else have any new business? Seeing none?
I'd just like to add,
Go ahead.
at 108 Holland, just to let you know that they paid off their lien, and
Oh, good.
that was presented to the board. I did see some survey markers out there this last week and this week, so I think things will be happening there. The building official, Amir and I went out to 108 Mission Hills. We are moving forward probably with condemnation, and that may be presented to the board in the near future.
Very good.
So, just an FYI.
I saw Kristen get excited over there, she has something, I'm sure.
Well, not excited, but did we approve the minutes? Or did we jump right in?
Oh, you know what, good point, I don't think we did.
I don't think
Well, I don't
I
think
don't
we
think
approved
we
the
did.
minutes, that was back in March, and
catch.
there's only 2 people here, 3 people here that were here, that received them. So I guess my mistake, can we approve the minutes, or should we
I
table?
did email them out to every board member.
And you got no responses back as to any
No,
changes?
no corrections.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes that were held on March 11th, 2020.
I move to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I second.
Motion is second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Motion's carried unanimously to approve the meeting minutes from March 11, 2020. Does anybody have any other new business? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
A second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.